The afternoon sun filters through the tall windows of Cafe Dolce Vita in the heart of Rome, casting golden patterns across marble floors, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. Elena Russo stands behind the espresso machine, her hands moving with practiced efficiencies as she prepares a cappuccino for a regular customer. Steam hisses, milk froths, and the rich aroma of coffee beans fills the air. She's been working here for 8 months now, ever since she arrived in Rome, with nothing but a suitcase and a desperate need to disappear. Her dark hair is pulled back in a simple ponytail, a few rebellious strands escaping to frame her face. She wears the cafe's standard uniform, a white blouse and black skirt, but somehow she makes it look elegant rather than ordinary. At 26, Elena has learned to make herself invisible, to blend into the background, to avoid drawing attention. It's safer that way. The cafe is moderately busy for a Thursday afternoon. Tourists occupy the window seats, cameras resting on tables beside their espressos. Local businessmen huddle over laptops in corners. An elderly couple shares a slice of tiramisu, their wrinkled hands occasionally touching across the small table. Elena moves between tables with quiet efficiency, collecting empty cups, wiping down surfaces, offering polite smiles that never quite reach her eyes. She's wiping down the bar when the door opens, and something shifts in the atmosphere. Elena doesn't look up immediately, but she feels it. A change in air pressure, a subtle tension that makes the hair on the back of her neck stand up. When she finally glances toward the entrance, her breath catches. 3 men enter, but only one commands attention. He's tall, perhaps 6'2", with dark hair styled perfectly despite the September heat outside. His suit is charcoal gray, clearly custom-tailored, fitting his broad shoulders and lean frame with precision that speaks of wealth beyond measure. But it's his face that holds her captive. Sharp jawline, high cheekbones, and eyes so dark they're almost black. He surveys the cafe with the calm confidence of someone who owns every space he enters. 2 men flank him, clearly bodyguards despite their expensive suits. They're built like brick walls, their eyes constantly scanning the room, assessing threats, calculating exits. The entire cafe seems to hold its breath as the 3 men move toward a corner table. The one with the best view of both the entrance and the back exit. Elena forces herself to look away, returning her attention to the espresso machine she's been cleaning. Her hands tremble slightly as she wipes down the steam wand. Men like that are dangerous. She knows this instinctively, the same way prey recognizes a predator. The cafe owner, Signore Rossi, emerges from the kitchen, his round face creasing into a nervous smile. He approaches the corner table with the deference of someone greeting royalty, or perhaps someone far more dangerous. Elena watches from the corner of her eye as Rossi bows slightly, speaking in rapid Italian too quiet for her to hear. The dark-eyed man nods once, dismissing him with a gesture that's both casual and absolute. Rossi scurries back behind the bar, his face flushed. He turns to Elena, his voice low and urgent. "You serve that table. Whatever they want, you bring it immediately. No delays, no mistakes. Capiche?" Elena's stomach tightens. "Who is he?" Rossi's eyes widen in disbelief. "You don't know? That's Dante Caruso." He says the name as if it should mean something, as if it should make bells ring and angels weep. When Elena's expression remains blank, he shakes his head in amazement. "Where have you been hiding? Caruso owns half of Rome. Restaurants, hotels, shipping companies." He lowers his voice even further. "And other businesses, the kind people don't talk about." Understanding dawns cold and clear. Mafia, or something close to it. The kind of man her mother warned her about before she died. The kind of man Elena has spent her entire adult life avoiding. "I can't," she whispers. "Let Maria serve them." Rossi's expression hardens. Maria called in sick. You're the only server on duty. Now go take their order before he gets impatient. Trust me, you don't want Dante Caruso impatient. Elena's hands are ice cold as she grabs her notepad and pen. She takes a deep breath, straightens her spine, and walks across the cafe toward the corner table. Each step feels like moving through water. The two bodyguards watch her approach with flat, assessing eyes. But Dante Caruso doesn't look up. He's reading something on his phone, his expression unreadable. She stops beside the table, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Buongiorno, what can I bring you? For a long moment, he doesn't acknowledge her. Then, slowly, he sets his phone down and looks up. The full force of his gaze hits her like a physical blow. His eyes are intelligent, calculating, and intensely focused. They sweep over her face with an assessment that feels invasive, as if he's reading her secrets, her fears, her entire history in a single glance. Espresso, he says, his voice low and smooth like expensive whiskey. Double shot, and bring the bottle of amaretto from the top shelf. 3 glasses. She scribbles the order, careful to keep her hand steady. Of course, anything else? His lips curve into something that might be a smile but contains no warmth. Your name. Elena's pen stills on the paper. Excuse me. Your name, he repeats, leaning back in his chair with casual arrogance. I like to know who's serving me. She should lie. Every instinct screams at her to give a false name, to maintain the careful anonymity she's cultivated since arriving in Rome. But something in his eyes tells her he'd know. He'd see through the deception, and somehow, that would be worse. Elena, she says quietly. Elena, he repeats, and her name sounds different in his mouth, intimate, possessive. And your family name? That's not part of the menu, signore. One of the bodyguards shifts, a subtle movement that carries threat. But Dante holds up a hand, stopping whatever action was about to occur. His smile widens fractionally. Interesting. A server who talks back. A server who values her privacy, Elena corrects, meeting his gaze with more courage than she feels. For a moment, tension crackles between them. Then Dante laughs, a genuine sound that transforms his face. He looks younger, less dangerous, though Elena suspects this is an illusion. Men like him are always dangerous, especially when they smile. Fair enough, Elena, he says. Bring the espresso and amaretto, and take your time. I'm not in a hurry today. She nods and turns away, acutely aware of his eyes on her back as she walks toward the bar. Her hands shake as she prepares his espresso, pulling the perfect shot, the crema thick and golden on top. She retrieves the amaretto from the top shelf, an expensive bottle that probably costs more than her weekly salary. 3 crystal glasses join the tray. When she returns to the table, Dante is speaking quietly with one of his men in a dialect she doesn't recognize. He stops mid-sentence as she approaches, watching as she carefully sets down the espresso cup, the bottle, and the glasses. She pours the amaretto with steady hands, determined not to show weakness. Perfect, Dante says, his eyes never leaving her face. Tell me, Elena, how long have you worked here? She shouldn't engage. She should smile politely, excuse herself, and retreat to the safety of the bar. But something compels her to answer. 8 months. And before that, somewhere else. His smile returns, appreciative of her evasion. You're not from Rome. Your accent, it's northern. Tuscany, perhaps. Florence. Elena's blood runs cold. He's right, terrifyingly right. And the fact that he can place her accent so precisely speaks to an intelligence that's as dangerous as the obvious physical threat his bodyguards represent. I should get back to work, she says, stepping back from the table. One more question, Dante says, and it's phrased as a request, but sounds like a command. Are you married, Elena? The question shocks her into stillness. That's inappropriate, signore. Most of my questions are. He picks up his espresso, sipping it slowly, his eyes regarding her over the rim of the cup. But I'm a man who likes answers. Then I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. She turns away before he can respond. Walking back to the bar with her heart hammering against her ribs, Rossi intercepts her, his face anxious. What did he say? Did you upset him? I don't think so, Elena murmurs, though she's not certain of anything anymore. For the next hour, Dante and his men occupy the corner table, speaking in low voices, occasionally sipping the amaretto. Elena tends to other customers, hyper-aware of his presence, of the way his eyes find her whenever she moves through the room. It's unnerving, this attention from a man who radiates danger like heat from a flame. Finally, as the afternoon stretches toward evening, Dante signals for her. Elena approaches the table with reluctance. The check, Dante says simply, though his eyes hold something else. Amusement, perhaps. Or challenge. Elena places the leather folder on the table. The amount is substantial. More than most people spend on an afternoon of coffee and liqueur. Dante doesn't even glance at it. Instead, he pulls out a black credit card and sets it on top of the folder, then looks directly at her. I have a proposition for you, Elena. Every muscle in her body tenses. I'm not interested in propositions, signore. You haven't heard it yet. He leans back, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp. I'm hosting a private event tomorrow night, a poker game at my villa in the hills. I need servers, people who can move through a room without drawing attention, who can keep their mouths shut about what they see and hear. He pauses. You'd be perfect. No, thank you, Elena says immediately. The pay is 5,000 euros for one night's work. The number hits her like a slap. 5,000 euros. That's more than she makes in 3 months at the cafe. With that money, she could finally pay off the debt collectors who've been calling about her father's gambling debts. She could breathe again. But nothing comes without a price, especially from men like Dante Caruso. I'm not interested, she repeats. Though the words taste like ash, Dante studies her for a long moment. You're in trouble. Financial trouble, I'd guess. The way you counted the tips earlier, the worn soles on your shoes despite the fact that the rest of you is immaculate. You need money. It's not a question. Elena's cheeks burn with humiliation and anger. That's none of your business. Perhaps not. He picks up the credit card, sliding it back into his wallet. Instead, he places several large bills on the table, far more than the cost of the coffee and liqueur. But my offer stands. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, Villa Caruso in Frascati. Ask anyone for directions, they'll know it. I said no, and I heard you. He stands, his full height impressive, commanding. His bodyguards immediately flank him. But I think you'll change your mind. You strike me as someone who's practical beneath all that pride. He buttons his jacket with casual grace. When you do change your mind, and you will, call this number. He places a business card on the table beside the money. Simple black cardstock with a phone number embossed in silver, no name, no title, nothing else. Then he walks toward the door, his men following like shadows. At the entrance, he pauses and looks back at her. One more thing, Elena. Whatever you're running from, you should know. There's no such thing as truly disappearing. Not in Rome. Not anywhere. His smile is almost kind. Sometimes the safest choice is choosing the right dangerous man. Then he's gone, and Elena can breathe again. She sinks into the nearest chair, her legs suddenly unsteady. Rossi appears at her elbow, scooping up the money on the table with reverent hands. Madonna Santa, he breathes. Do you know how much this is? He left you a 500 euro tip. He clutches the bills. What did he say to you? Elena shakes her head, unable to form words. The business card lies on the table like a snake, dangerous and hypnotic. She knows she should throw it away. Forget this afternoon ever happened. Forget Dante Caruso and his dark eyes and his impossible offer. Instead, she picks up the card and slips it into her apron pocket. That evening, in her tiny apartment in Trastevere, Elena sits at her rickety kitchen table surrounded by bills. The numbers blur before her eyes. Rent, utilities, her father's debt collectors demanding payment for gambling debts that aren't legally hers, but that they've made very clear they expect her to honor. The threats have been escalating. Last week, a man waited outside her apartment, saying nothing, just watching, making his presence known, making sure she understood the consequences of not paying. She pulls out Dante's business card, turning it over in her fingers. 5,000 euros. It would solve everything, at least temporarily. Buy her time to figure out a more permanent solution. What harm could come from one night of serving drinks at a poker game? But she knows the answer to that question. Men like Dante Caruso don't offer money for nothing. There's always a price, always strings attached. She could end up in deeper trouble than she's already in. Her phone rings, an unknown number. Elena's hand trembles as she answers. Elena Russo. A man's voice, rough and impatient. Yes. This is regarding your father's debt. We've been very patient, but our patience has limits. You have 1 week to make a payment, 10,000 euros, or we'll be forced to take alternative measures. I don't have 10,000 euros, Elena says, her voice breaking. Then I suggest you find it. 1 week, Miss Russo. Don't make us come looking for you. The line goes dead. Elena stares at her phone, then at the business card, then at the stack of bills, 10,000 euros. She doesn't have it. She can't get it through legitimate means, not in a week. But Dante Caruso is offering 5,000 for one night. Her hand reaches for her phone before her mind can talk her out of it. She dials the number on the card, her heart pounding so hard she thinks it might burst through her ribs. It rings once, twice. Then a familiar voice, smooth as silk. I was wondering when you'd call. Elena closes her eyes. The job tomorrow night. I'll do it. Excellent. She can hear the smile in his voice. A car will pick you up at 7. Wear something black, elegant, but not too formal. And Elena? Yes? Don't bring your phone. Don't tell anyone where you're going. These are non-negotiable conditions. Every instinct screams at her to refuse, to hang up, to find another way. But she thinks of the man outside her apartment, of the threats, of the suffocating weight of debt that isn't even hers. Fine, she whispers. Good girl. I'll see you tomorrow. He hangs up before she can respond. Elena sets down her phone and buries her face in her hands. What has she just agreed to? The next day passes in a blur of anxiety. Elena goes through the motions at the cafe, her mind elsewhere. She keeps expecting Dante to appear again, but he doesn't. Rossi notices her distraction, asking repeatedly if she's feeling well. She lies, says she's fine, just tired. When her shift ends at 6, Elena rushes home to prepare. In her closet, she finds a simple black dress she wore to her mother's funeral 3 years ago. It's modest, falling just below her knees, with long sleeves and a high neckline. She pairs it with the only heels she owns, simple black pumps that she reserves for rare occasions. She showers, dries her hair until it falls in dark waves past her shoulders, applies minimal makeup. Her reflection in the mirror shows a woman who looks calm, composed, nothing like the terrified girl she feels inside. At exactly 7 o'clock, her building's buzzer sounds. Elena grabs her small purse, leaves her phone on the kitchen table as instructed, and descends the 4 flights of stairs to the street. A black Mercedes sedan waits at the curb, so sleek and expensive it looks out of place in her working-class neighborhood. The driver, a stern-faced man in a dark suit, opens the rear door without a word. Elena slides into the back seat, the leather cool against her skin. The door closes with a solid thunk, and the car pulls away from the curb. She watches through tinted windows as Rome slides past, the familiar streets giving way to the highway heading into the hills. They drive for 45 minutes, leaving the city behind, climbing into the countryside, where ancient villas hide behind tall walls and iron gates. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It's beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Finally, the car turns through massive gates that swing open automatically. A long driveway lined with cypress trees leads to a villa that takes Elena's breath away. It's not a house, it's a palace. 3 stories of honey-colored stone with towers at each corner, gardens spreading in all directions, fountains catching the last light of day. The car stops in the circular drive. The driver opens her door. "Someone will meet you at the entrance," he says, his first words to her. Elena climbs out, her heels clicking on the cobblestones. The massive wooden doors of the villa open, and a woman emerges. She's in her 50s, elegant in a black suit, her gray hair pulled back in a severe bun. "Miss Russo," she says with a nod. "I'm Signora Benedetti, the house manager. Please, follow me." Elena follows her through doors that must be centuries old, into an entrance hall that belongs in a museum. Marble floors, soaring ceilings with frescoes of angels and saints, a grand staircase that curves upward. Signora Benedetti leads her through a maze of corridors to a large kitchen where 3 other young women wait, all dressed in black, similar to Elena. They look nervous, exchanging glances, but not speaking. The rules are simple. Signora Benedetti says, her voice crisp. "You will serve drinks and light food to Mr. Caruso's guests. You will not speak unless spoken to. You will not ask questions. You will not discuss anything you see or hear tonight with anyone, ever. Do you understand?" The 4 women nod in unison. "The game will take place in the library on the 2nd floor. You'll work in pairs, rotating every hour. Any questions?" Silence. Signora Benedetti assigns the pairs. Elena is partnered with a petite blonde named Giulia, who can't be more than 22. They're scheduled for the first rotation. At 8 o'clock precisely, they're led to the library. Elena's breath catches as they enter. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves line 3 walls, filled with leather-bound volumes that look ancient and priceless. The 4th wall is dominated by massive windows overlooking the gardens, now lit by strategically placed spotlights. In the center of the room sits a round table covered in green felt, surrounded by 6 leather chairs, and standing by the windows, drink in hand, is Dante Caruso. He turns as they enter, his eyes finding Elena immediately. He's dressed more casually than yesterday, dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing strong forearms. But casual on him still looks expensive, still carries that aura of power that makes her want to step back. "Ah, Elena," he says, as if they're old friends. "I'm pleased you came." "You didn't give me much choice," she replies before she can stop herself. His smile is slow, dangerous. "We always have choices. You made yours." Signora Benedetti clears her throat disapprovingly. "The guests will arrive shortly. The bar is stocked. You know what to do." She leaves, closing the door behind her. Giulia immediately busies herself arranging glasses on the bar cart. Elena stands frozen, acutely aware that she's alone with Dante for the first time without the safety of a public space. He crosses the room toward her, moving with the fluid grace of a predator. "Nervous?" "Should I be?" "That depends on whether you trust me." I don't know you well enough to trust you. Smart. He stops just close enough that she can smell his cologne, something woody and expensive. But you're here anyway. I needed the money. So, honest, most people would make up a prettier excuse. His eyes search her face. What do you need 5,000 euros for so desperately? Elena lifts her chin. You said I wouldn't have to answer questions. I said my guests wouldn't ask you questions. I'm not a guest. He reaches out, and Elena forces herself not to flinch as his fingers brush a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch is gentle, almost tender, and somehow, that makes him more frightening. But I won't push, not yet. Tonight, you'll serve drinks, smile politely, and remember everything I told you. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't ask questions. And most importantly, don't react to anything you see or hear. Can you do that? Yes. Good. His hand falls away, and Elena can breathe again. My guests tonight are powerful men. Some are legitimate businessmen. Others, he pauses, less so. The game we're playing has high stakes. Money will change hands. So will information. You're invisible, understand? Part of the furniture. They'll speak freely around you because men like this never think women are listening. Or if they are, that they're smart enough to understand. Are they wrong? Elena asks. Dante's smile is sharp. In your case, I suspect very wrong. The doorbell chimes, deep and resonant through the villa. Dante straightens, his expression shifting from intimacy to professional coolness. Showtime. Remember what I said. Invisible. Over the next 30 minutes, 5 men arrive. Elena recognizes none of them, but she doesn't need to. Their expensive suits, confident bearing, and the deference with which they greet Dante tell her everything. These are men who move in the shadows, who make decisions that affect thousands of lives, who've never heard the word no, that they didn't have the power to overturn. She and Julia move through the room, offering drinks, replenishing snacks, silent and efficient. The men settle around the poker table. Dante at the head as always, even though the table is round. Cards are shuffled, chips distributed, and the game begins. For the first hour, the conversation is light. Business talk, political gossip, jokes that make Elena's skin crawl with their casual cruelty. The men drink steadily, their tongues loosening with each hand played. Then, as midnight approaches, the tone shifts. One of the men, a silver-haired politician Elena recognizes from newspapers, leans back in his chair. So Dante, I hear you're making a move on the Rossetti shipping contract. Dante's expression doesn't change as he studies his cards. I'm considering it. The Rossettis won't like that, another man says. He's younger, perhaps 40, with cold eyes and scarred knuckles. They've held that contract for 20 years. 20 years of incompetence, Dante replies, placing his bet. It's time for new management. You'll start a war, the silver-haired man says, but he's smiling. Wars are bad for business. Wars create opportunities. Dante looks up, his gaze sweeping the table, for those brave enough to seize them. Elena refills drinks, her face a careful mask, but inside her mind races. These men are discussing territory, control, the kind of business that ends in violence, and she's hearing every word. The game continues. Money and chips pile up in the center of the table. Dante is winning, not dramatically but consistently, and Elena suspects it's not about the money for him, it's about the power. Showing these men that he always comes out on top. During a break in the game, one of the men calls Elena over. He's drunk, his eyes glassy, his hand lingering too long on her wrist as she pours his whiskey. What's your name, Bella? He slurs. Elena, signore. Elena, pretty. His thumb rubs circles on her inner wrist. Tell me, Elena, what's a beautiful girl like you doing serving drinks? You should be sitting at this table, not standing beside it." Before Elena can respond, Dante's voice cuts through the room like a blade. "Carmine, take your hand off her." The man, Carmine, looks up, his drunken smile fading. "What?" "Your hand. Off her. Now." There's a quality to Dante's voice that makes every man at the table go still. It's not loud, not aggressive, but it carries absolute authority and the promise of consequences. Carmine releases Elena's wrist as if burned. "I didn't mean anything." "Of course you didn't." Dante's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Elena, take a break. Julia can handle the next round." Elena nods, grateful for the escape. She slips out of the library into the hallway, her hands shaking. She leans against the wall, taking deep breaths, trying to calm her racing heart. Footsteps approach. She looks up to find Dante standing in the hallway, the door to the library closed behind him. "Are you all right?" he asks, and there's genuine concern in his voice. "I'm fine. He was just drunk." "That's no excuse." Dante moves closer, his eyes scanning her face. "Did he hurt you?" "No, just startled me." "Good." His hand comes up to cup her cheek, the gesture surprisingly gentle. "I don't share what's mine, Elena. And while you're in my house, you're under my protection." Her breath catches. "I'm not yours." "Aren't you?" His thumb traces her cheekbone. "You took my money. You came to my house. You're wearing a dress I paid for." "I wore my own dress," Elena protests weakly. His smile is wolfish. "But you thought about wearing what I'd choose for you. That's almost as telling." Elena should step back, put distance between them, but she's frozen, caught in his gravity. "What do you want from me?" "Right now? I want to make sure you're all right." He drops his hand, and Elena can breathe again. "But if you're asking what I want long term, that's a more complicated question." "Try me." Dante studies her for a long moment. "Come back inside. The game is about to get interesting." He turns and walks back toward the library. After a moment, Elena follows. The second half of the night is when everything shifts. The men are drunker now, their guards lower, their conversations more revealing. They talk about shipments and payoffs, about politicians on payrolls, and judges who look the other way. Elena stands against the wall, invisible as instructed, and absorbs every word. At one point, the silver-haired politician leans across the table, his voice low, but not low enough. "The prosecutor, Lombardi, he's becoming a problem, too honest for his own good." "Problems have solutions," the man with scarred knuckles says. "Not that kind of solution," Dante interjects sharply. "Lombardi has a family. We're not animals." "Then what do you suggest?" the politician asks. "We find leverage. Everyone has secrets. We just need to discover his." The conversation moves on, but Elena's stomach turns. These are men who casually discuss destroying lives, who see people as obstacles to be removed or tools to be used. The game finally breaks up around 3 in the morning. The men gather their winnings or losses with varying degrees of grace. They shake Dante's hand, exchange final pleasantries, and depart into the night, Elena and Julia, clear glasses, and straight in the library, working in silence. When the last guest has gone, Signora Benedetti appears. "Julia, you may go. The driver will take you home." She looks at Elena. "Mr. Caruso wishes to speak with you in his study." Julia shoots Elena a sympathetic look before disappearing. Elena's heart pounds as she follows Signora Benedetti through the villa's corridors to a heavy wooden door. The older woman knocks once, then opens it. "Miss Russo, signore." Dante's study is smaller than the library, but no less impressive. Dark wood paneling, leather furniture, and walls covered with artwork that Elena suspects is worth more than she'll earn in her lifetime. Dante stands by a window, a glass of amber liquid in his hand, looking out at the gardens. "Thank you, Signora Benedetti. That will be all." The door closes, leaving Elena alone with him once again. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then Dante turns, his expression unreadable. "You did well tonight. I served drinks. It wasn't complicated. You did more than that." He crosses to his desk, opening a drawer to retrieve an envelope. "You watched. You listened. You understood." He holds out the envelope. "Your payment. 5,000 euros as promised, plus a bonus for dealing with Carmine's inappropriate behavior." Elena takes the envelope with trembling fingers. It's thick, heavy with cash. "Thank you." "You're welcome." He sips his drink, studying her over the rim. "I have a question for you." Here it comes, Elena thinks. The real price. "Tonight you heard things. Conversations that could be dangerous in the wrong hands. Incriminating things." He sets down his glass. "What will you do with that information?" Elena meets his gaze steadily. "Forget it. As you told me to." "Will you?" He moves closer. "Or will you be tempted to take what you heard to the police, to play hero?" "I'm not a hero. I'm a woman trying to survive." She holds up the envelope. "This helps me survive. Getting involved with police would do the opposite." Dante nods slowly, as if she's confirmed something he suspected. Smart. Self-preservation is an undervalued trait. He's close now, close enough that Elena can see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. "But I think there's more to you than simple survival instinct. You don't know me. Not yet." His hand comes up to trace her jawline, and Elena's breath catches. "But I'd like to. I find you fascinating, Elena Russo." "You find me useful," she corrects, though her voice wavers. "Those aren't mutually exclusive." His thumb brushes across her lower lip, and heat floods through her. "I'm going to make you another offer." "I don't think I want to hear it." "You do." His smile is knowing. "Work for me. Not just one night, but regularly. Private events, business dinners. Anywhere, I need someone intelligent and observant. Someone who knows how to be invisible when necessary, and captivating when required. I have a job. At a cafe, making minimum wage." He drops his hand, but doesn't step back. "I'm offering you real money, Elena. Enough to pay off your father's debts and have plenty left over. Enough to stop looking over your shoulder." How does he know about her father's debts? But of course he knows. Men like Dante make it their business to know everything. "What would you want in return?" "Loyalty, discretion, and your company." His eyes hold hers. "I enjoy talking to you. You don't simper or flatter. You speak your mind. Consequences be damned. That's rare in my world." "Your company?" Elena echoes. "Is that a euphemism?" "If I wanted you in my bed, Elena, I'd say so directly." His smile turns predatory. Though I won't pretend the thought hasn't crossed my mind. Heat floods Elena's cheeks. "I'm not that kind of woman." "I know exactly what kind of woman you are. Strong, intelligent, proud, desperate." He picks up his drink again. "Think about my offer. You don't have to answer tonight." Elena clutches the envelope, her mind spinning. This is insane. She should take her money, walk out this door, and never look back. Working for Dante Caruso means entering a world of danger, of moral compromise, of choices that can't be undone. But it also means financial freedom. It means stopping the collectors who lurk outside her apartment. It means breathing without constant fear. "I need to think about it," she says finally. "Fair enough." He moves to the door, opening it. "My driver will take you home. Keep the phone number I gave you. When you've made your decision, call me." Elena walks toward the door, then pauses. "Why me? You must know dozens of women who jump at this opportunity. Women who are more sophisticated, more comfortable in your world. Dante's expression softens almost imperceptibly. Because when Carmine grabbed your wrist, you were afraid. But you didn't cower. Because you walked into a room full of dangerous men and didn't flinch. Because you stand here now, questioning me, when most people just nod and agree. He reaches out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Because you remind me that there are still people in this world who aren't broken yet. The tenderness in his touch, in his words, is more dangerous than any threat Elena's heart hammers as she forces herself to step back, to break the spell of his proximity. "Good night, Mr. Caruso." "Dante," he corrects. "After tonight, I think we've moved beyond formalities." She flees, though she tries to make it look like a dignified departure. The driver takes her home in silence, Rome's streets empty in the pre-dawn hours. When she finally climbs the stairs to her apartment, exhausted and overwhelmed, she finds the envelope in her purse contains not 5,000 euros, but 7. His bonus number. 5. Elena sleeps fitfully, her dreams filled with dark eyes and dangerous promises. She wakes late the next morning to sunlight streaming through her threadbare curtains and the sound of her neighbor's television through the thin walls. For a moment, she thinks last night was a dream. Then she sees the envelope on her nightstand, thick with cash that's very real. She sits up, pulling the envelope toward her, counting the bills with trembling fingers. 7,000 euros, more money than she's seen in years. Enough to pay off half of her father's debt, enough to buy herself time, space, the ability to think without constant panic. But at what cost? She showers, dresses in jeans and a simple shirt, and makes coffee in her tiny kitchen. The apartment feels smaller today, more claustrophobic than usual. 2 rooms that would fit inside Dante's bathroom, furniture she bought secondhand, walls that need painting but that she can't afford to fix. This is her life, the one she built after running from Florence, from her father's gambling addiction and the violent men he owed money to. She thought Rome would be different. She thought she could disappear into the city's ancient sprawl, reinvent herself, live quietly and safely. But debt has a way of following you. Her father died 6 months ago. A heart attack, the doctors said. Though Elena suspects the stress of his choices killed him as surely as any disease. And when he died, the men he owed came looking for her. They said family debts don't die with the debtor. They said she inherited not just her father's blood, but his obligations. The law might disagree, but these aren't men who care about legality. Elena picks up her phone, scrolling through the threatening messages that accumulate daily unknown numbers demanding payment, promising consequences, reminding her that she's alone and vulnerable. She could go to the police, but what would she say? My father gambled with criminals, and now they want me to pay. The police would shrug, tell her it's a civil matter, send her away. No, the only way out is money. 7,000 euros is a start. But it's not enough. Not nearly enough. She finds herself thinking about Dante's offer. Regular work, real money, enough to solve her problems permanently. All she has to do is exist in his world, serve drinks, listen to conversations, be loyal and discreet, and be his company. That part terrifies her more than the rest. The way he looks at her, touches her, speaks her name. Like she's something precious he's discovered. Like he wants to possess her. Not violently, but completely. She's felt attraction before, dated in college, had relationships that fizzled or failed. But what she felt last night in his study, when his thumb brushed her lip, when his eyes held hers with such intensity, that wasn't simple attraction. That was dangerous. Her phone rings. Unknown number. Elena's stomach clenches as she answers. "Miss Russo." A different voice this time, smoother but no less threatening. I trust you received our previous messages. I have some money, Elena says quickly. 7,000 euros. I can bring it today. A pause. 7,000. That's better than nothing. Where did you get it? That's none of your concern. A low chuckle. Bold words for someone in your position. But fine. Keep your secrets. Bring the money to the address I'm texting you. 2 o'clock. Don't be late. The line goes dead. A moment later, a text arrives with an address in Ostia, a rough neighborhood by the coast. Elena's hands shake as she reads it. She's terrified of going alone, of walking into whatever trap these men might have planned. But what choice does she have? She counts out 7,000 euros, leaving just enough for this month's rent and food. The rest she'll deliver, buy herself more time, and then decide what to do about Dante's offer. At 1:30, she takes the train to Ostia, clutching her purse against her chest. The neighborhood gets progressively rougher as she walks from the station. Graffiti covering walls, groups of men smoking on street corners, watching her with predatory interest. The address leads to a warehouse near the docks, its windows broken, rust eating the corrugated metal walls. Elena's instinct screams at her to run. But debt collectors have long memories and short tempers. If she doesn't show, they'll come for her. Better to face them now, on their terms, than wait for them to choose the time and place. She pushes through a heavy door into dimness. The warehouse is largely empty, just some old crates and the smell of sea salt and decay. 3 men wait in the center of the space. 2 she doesn't recognize, muscle in cheap suits. The third is older, perhaps 60, with silver hair and cold eyes that assess her like she's livestock. "Miss Russo," he says, his voice the one from the phone. "Thank you for coming. I'm Vittorio. I handled your father's accounts. I brought the money." Elena's voice is steadier than she feels. She holds out the envelope. Vittorio takes it, counts the bills methodically, then nods. "This is acceptable, for now. But you understand, this covers less than a quarter of what he owed." "I'm aware." Elena lifts her chin. "I'll bring more. I just need time." Time is expensive. Vittorio hands the envelope to one of his men. "Your father had 2 years. He wasted it. I'm less patient than my predecessor was." "I'm not my father." "No?" Vittorio circles her slowly, a shark evaluating prey. "You're cleverer. I think prettier, certainly. That can be useful." Elena's blood runs cold. "What do you mean?" "I mean there are ways for a beautiful woman to earn money quickly, ways that don't involve serving coffee." His smile makes her skin crawl. "I know people who'd pay well for someone like you." Understanding hits like a fist. He's suggesting she sell herself. Prostitution, dressed up in prettier words, but the same degradation underneath. No. The word comes out sharp, definitive. "Never." Vittorio shrugs. "Your choice. But the debt remains. 30,000 euros, and my patience expires in 2 weeks. If you don't have the money by then, we'll discuss alternative arrangements." He nods to his men. "See her out." Elena finds herself back on the street, shaking with rage and fear. 2 weeks, 30,000 euros. Impossible. Even with Dante's offer, she couldn't earn that much in 2 weeks. And she won't. Can't. Accept Vittorio's disgusting suggestion. She walks aimlessly for an hour, trying to think, to plan, to find a solution that doesn't exist. Finally, as the sun begins to set, she finds herself on a quiet street, pulling out her phone. She stares at Dante's number for a long time. This is a choice she can't unmake. Once she enters his world fully, there's no going back. She'll be complicit in whatever he does, whatever crimes he commits. She'll lose whatever innocence she still possesses. But the alternative is worse. Vittorio's cold eyes, his implicit threat, the idea of being forced into something unthinkable. Sometimes the safest choice is choosing the right dangerous man. Dante's words echo in her mind. Maybe he's right. Maybe in a world where she's surrounded by predators, the smartest move is choosing the one who's offered her protection. Her finger hovers over the call button. She takes a deep breath, makes her choice, and presses it. He answers on the second ring. Elena, I want to accept your offer. Her voice is quiet but firm. The job, whatever it entails, I'll do it. A pause. What changed your mind? She could lie, make up something about needing the money for rent or school or something mundane. But Dante would see through it. He seems to see through everything. I'm in trouble, serious trouble, the kind that doesn't go away on its own. Tell me. It's not a request, so she does. Standing on a darkening Rome street, Elena tells Dante Caruso about her father's gambling, about the debt she inherited, about Vittorio's threats and impossible demands. She tells him everything, words spilling out in a rush of fear and desperation. When she finishes, silence stretches between them. Then Dante speaks, his voice hard as granite. Where are you right now? Ostia. Near the docks. Stay where you are. My driver will be there in 20 minutes. Don't move. Don't talk to anyone. Understand? Dante, I didn't call so you could rescue me. I called to accept the job. You did both. His tone softens slightly. 20 minutes, Elena. Wait for the car. He hangs up before she can argue. Elena leans against a building, hugging herself against the evening chill. True to his word, exactly 20 minutes later, the black Mercedes appears. The driver opens the door without speaking, and Elena slides into the familiar leather interior. But this time, she's not alone. Dante sits in the back seat, his expression thunderous. Show me where the warehouse is. Elena directs the driver back to Vittorio's building. Dante stares at it, his jaw tight, his hands clenched into fists. Then he pulls out his phone, speaks rapidly in a dialect Elena doesn't understand. Whatever he's saying sounds furious. When he finishes, he turns to her. How much do you owe? 30,000 euros. But Dante, I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm telling you. His eyes are fierce. This debt, it's finished. By tomorrow, Vittorio and his friends will know you're under my protection. They won't contact you again. Cumulative word. Count, 6,364. Section 6, Elena stares at him, unable to process what he's saying. You can't just pay off 30,000 euros like it's nothing. I can, and I will. He reaches out, taking her hand in his. His grip is warm, solid, anchoring. You're mine now, Elena. I take care of what's mine. I'm not yours, she protests, but the words lack conviction. Dante's smile is knowing. We both know that's not true anymore. The moment you called me, the moment you accepted my help, you became mine. His thumb traces circles on her palm. And I don't share. I don't allow anyone to threaten what belongs to me. Elena should pull away, should be offended by his possessive language, his assumption of ownership. But instead, she feels relief wash through her. For months, she's been alone, fighting, drowning in fear. Now someone is offering to stand between her and the darkness, someone powerful enough to actually help. What do you want in return? She asks quietly. I told you. Loyalty. Discretion. Your company. He pauses, his eyes searching hers. And honesty. Always honesty between us. That's all? For now. His smile turns dangerous, though I reserve the right to want more eventually. The car moves through Rome's streets, heading into the hills where Dante's villa waits. Elena watches the city lights pass, processing what's happening. In the span of a day, her entire life has shifted. She's no longer drowning in debt, no longer alone. but she's traded one form of danger for another. They arrive at the villa as night fully settles. Dante leads her inside, not to the library where the poker game happened, but to a more informal sitting room with comfortable couches and a fireplace crackling with warmth. He pours her wine without asking if she wants it, hands her the glass, then sits beside her. "Tell me about your father," he says. Elena sips the wine. It's rich, complex, probably worth more than her monthly salary. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. How he ended up owing Vittorio. How you ended up responsible." So she talks about her father, who was charming and warm when sober, reckless and desperate when gambling. About how he promised to stop 1,000 times, but never could. About how her mother died, trying to pay off his debts, working herself to exhaustion, collapsing one day and never waking up. About how Elena fled to Rome after her mother's death, trying to escape the cycle, only to be dragged back when her father died. Dante listens without interrupting, his attention complete and focused. When she finishes, he's quiet for a long moment. "Vittorio," he finally says, "is a small-time operator, a bottom feeder who preys on people like your father. People who can't fight back." His eyes meet hers, but he knows who I am. When he learns you're under my protection, he'll disappear. Men like him survive by avoiding conflict with men like me. "And what kind of man are you?" Elena asks, emboldened by wine and exhaustion. Dante considers the question. "Dangerous, ruthless when necessary. But I have rules. I don't harm innocents. I don't prey on the weak. I take what I want, yes, but I'm not a monster despite what people say." "What do people say?" "That I'm Mafia, that I kill anyone who crosses me, that I own half of Rome through violence and intimidation." He swirls his wine. "Some of that is true. Some is exaggeration. The trick is figuring out which is which. Are you trying to scare me?" "No." He sets down his glass and turns to face her fully. "I'm trying to be honest. You asked what kind of man I am. I'm the kind who builds empires in shadows, who makes deals that would horrify ordinary people, who's done things I'm not proud of, but won't apologize for." His hand finds hers again, but I'm also the kind who keeps his promises, who protects what he values. And I value you, Elena. Her heart pounds. "You barely know me." "I know enough. I know you're strong and smart and brave. I know you stood in a room full of dangerous men and didn't break. I know you came to me despite being terrified, because you're practical enough to recognize when you need help." His fingers intertwine with hers. "And I know that when you look at me, you see the danger, but you don't look away." He's right. Elena should be terrified, should be running. But instead, she's drawn to him like gravity, like a moon caught in a planet's orbit. Unable to escape, and no longer certain she wants to. "What happens now?" she whispers. "Now you stay here tonight. It's late. You're exhausted, and I won't send you back to that apartment where you've been afraid for months." He stands, pulling her up with him. "I'll have a room prepared. Tomorrow, we'll discuss your new position in detail. But tonight, you rest." He leads her through the villa to the same suite she occupied the night before, on the second floor, with views of the gardens. Someone has already turned down the bed, left fresh towels in the bathroom, placed a silk nightgown on the bed. "Sleep," Dante says from the doorway. "You're safe here. I promise you that." "Dante?" Elena stops him before he can leave. "Thank you. For everything." His expression softens. "You don't need to thank me. This is what I do for people I care about." After he leaves, Elena showers, washing away the fear and grime of the day. She slips into the nightgown, softer than anything she's ever worn, and climbs into the enormous bed. Despite everything, despite the surreal turn her life has taken, She falls asleep almost immediately. For the first time in months, she sleeps without nightmares. She wakes to sunlight and the smell of coffee. A tray sits on the bedside table, breakfast prepared by invisible hands. Fresh fruit, pastries, coffee, exactly how she likes it. There's a note in bold handwriting. Join me on the terrace when you're ready. D. Elena eats, showers again, and finds clothes laid out for her. Not the black dress from the poker game, but casual elegance, designer jeans, and a soft cashmere sweater in deep blue. They fit perfectly, because of course they do. Dante seems to know everything about her. She finds him on a terrace overlooking the gardens, sitting at a small table with his own breakfast and a tablet he's reading. He looks up as she approaches, his eyes appreciative. "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" "Better than I have in months." Elena sits across from him, accepting the coffee he pours. "Thank you for the clothes. I took the liberty of having some things brought in. I hope you don't mind." He sets aside the tablet. "How are you feeling?" "Confused, grateful, terrified." She meets his gaze. "Honest, as you requested." "Good." He leans back, studying her. "I made some calls this morning. Vittorio has been informed that you're under my protection. Your debt is settled. He won't contact you again." Relief floods through her so powerfully, it's almost painful. Just like that. Just like that. His smile is grim. "The money means nothing to me, Elena. But your peace of mind, your safety, that matters." "Why?" The question bursts out. "Why do you care so much about someone you barely know?" Dante is quiet for a long moment, his expression thoughtful. "Do you believe in fate?" "I don't know. Maybe." "I do. I believe some people cross our paths for a reason." He reaches across the table, taking her hand. "When you walked into my restaurant that afternoon, when I heard you speak Italian with such love for a dying grandmother, something shifted. I recognized something in you. A strength, a resilience that matched my own." His grip tightens slightly. "I've built an empire, Elena. I have money, power, respect, fear. But I've been alone in it. No one to share it with. No one who understands the cost of what I've built. And you think I could understand? I think you already do. You've survived your father's mistakes, your mother's death, months of threats and fear. You've fought alone, just like I have. The difference is, I'm offering you a choice. You don't have to be alone anymore." Elena's throat tightens with emotion. "What exactly are you offering, Dante?" He stands, moving around the table to kneel beside her chair. His eyes are level with hers, intense and serious. "Work for me, yes, but more than that. Be with me. Share my life, my world. I'll give you everything you need. Security, comfort, purpose. All I ask in return is your loyalty, your honesty, and your presence." "That sounds like more than a job. That sounds like—" "A relationship," he finishes. "Yes, that's what I'm asking for." Elena's heart races. This is insane. She's known him for less than a week. He's a criminal, dangerous, the kind of man her mother warned her about. Every rational thought screams at her to refuse, to walk away, to return to her safe, small life. But her safe, small life nearly destroyed her, and Dante, dangerous as he is, makes her feel things she's never felt. Protected, valued, seen. "I need time," she whispers. "This is too much, too fast." "I understand." He stands, releasing her hand. "Take the time you need. Stay here, in the villa. Explore the grounds, read in the library, swim in the pool. Get comfortable. I have business in the city but I'll return tonight. We can talk more then." He leaves her on the terrace with her thoughts, and her coffee, and a decision that will change everything.